Hey guys, welcome back. It's Carter with Be Trippin. We're going to get right into this one. Today we're going to be talking about the iPollo V1 Mini Classic. This is an ASIC that is low power for about 100 watts. You're getting about 130 mega hash. And in terms of that versus a GPU, you're talking about 3090 level performance for about 1/3 the power cost. So in a bear market, why would you want something like this? Why would you be buying a device like this versus, maybe a cheaper GPU type of thing? I'm going to answer that question to you guys, and we're going to go through and look at the dashboard, the setup, how confusing is this thing, and what are some of the use cases that are not just for GPU mining for a profit or passive income. I'm going to be answering a question that comes up quite a bit from dApp developers when they're talking about trying to set up a small miner to be able to do some testing on testnets and get coins there. This is a perfect little device for a small office, very quiet, and keeps the cost low versus having to build an entire rig. So there are different use cases for units like this where you're not going to put 50 of them on a shelf and try to do it at scale. You can have a tactical deployment of something like this where you have one unit and you're able to get some coins. Now, assembly is exceptionally easy on a device like this. It's essentially your network cable in and twin 6-pin connectors that come off that supplied power supply, and effectively you're booted up. As long as you have DHCP, you can get into, and let's transition to what you look at on a screen once it's been issued an IP address. All right, we plugged in the device and it uses DHCP to grab an IP from your router. And in this case, grabbed .80 off of our router. The default is root and then root, R-O-O-T. So once you do that, you log in. Now this thing has been running for a while in our setup. You can see our current setup here. It's showing 300 mega hash. This is an incorrect reading. I've noticed this on this device. It does show sometimes an incorrect reading, but then it'll fix itself. It's just one of those things where it ghosts the miner that's built in. We can go in the overarching review of the informational overview, and you can see essentially the setup that I have it going to ETC Ethermine's address, and then you can see this particular address is where I'm sending it to, and that it's been running. I have that essentially for the failover pools too. You could have this set up to where you fell over to different pools. Under the miner config, this is where you would go in and change those particular things. You can see the way I have this set up. So if you were replicating this setup, you could just follow this as a guide and then make sure that you put your worker name in there, which in this case is the address itself that it's mining to. And then you have to put the X and the password to make sure everything works appropriately. The network protocol, just DHCP, that's how it gets its address from your network. Now you can go in here and mess around with fan control. I just left it on auto. It's been fine. You can see this has been running for 21 days straight. So I've had this unit for a while and I wanted to test versus just running straight out and doing a review on it. I wanted to see what it looked like over the last 20 days. So essentially we got this unit in and started testing, and then you can see the running log that it's been going and running, and you can see the running status when it obtained its lease and that sort of thing. Any error log stuff that comes up, and then of course you can change your password, do a firmware upgrade if those come out. Run diagnostics, reboot the system, and log out appropriately. A pretty straightforward setup. I mean, at the end of the day, if you're in here, you're essentially just going straight to miner config and you're typing in whatever pool you want to go to. So now let's pivot over and look at the payouts of this unit and to see what the consistency is. And of course, this is going to vary with everybody in different pools and what the network difficulty of a particular coin is. In this case, ETC. So if we go over to ETC Ethermine, in this case, we're going to grab this address. We're going to copy this. We're going to paste that in here. And we're going to see the activity this unit's had and how stable it's been, and what its current unpaid 0.3. You can see the daily earnings is 0.08 in the current setup here. Per week it's almost an ETC, and monthly it says it's going to average about 2.6 Ethereum Classic per month. Now payouts, we can see the various payout history here, and we can see, on June 2nd, it went up from May 27th to June 2nd, June 2nd to June 9th, it got 0.7, or 0.75 every payout. So it's about another 8 days will hit this at the current rate. You can set your thresholds, 0.25, 0.1, whatever, however you want your payouts, but you can see there was roughly about 168 hours between payouts, essentially. So let's take a closer look at this device. And as you can see, it's sitting here next to an Alienware laptop. its footprint is well within what could be within an office or a small setting. And of course, we took some decibel readings from it. We did it pretty close, and you're looking just at that mid 50s to low 50 decibel rating. You take a few steps back and you're down below 50. You take a few more steps back. Now we're about 10 to 12 feet away, and you're back down to 41 in a quiet office room. Now, of course, we did the power rating here, and we can see using the BBT multimeter here that we're just around 100 watts, and that's from the wall. That's direct, so very low power draw for the 130 mega hash. Now, of course, we're going to be doing thermals here also, and you can see the actual touch of the device and the exit exhaust temperature being around 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, on the other side of it, the intake side, you're still looking at the hot spot being right there in the mid 80s. And when compared to like a device such as like the laptop here, where the laptop has almost 102 degree Fahrenheit temperature, it's well within also that office setting. You know, the power brick being the hottest part of this unit, sitting there at about 100 degrees to the touch. Now, there's several vendors out on the web I know that are carrying iPollo devices. You could also head straight over to iPollo.com. They now have a new website, and you can go out there and look up directly by hitting products, V-Series, ETC miner, and get right to the classic here, where it shows that 893. Now you get on your first order, obviously 50 off right from the page there. When you first hit it, it'll give you that option, that $50 off. So you're looking about 840 and some change for the classic mini here. And if you click that, you can see essentially the reported numbers that we're seeing. And from an observation, we are getting right there at 100 watts, and it's averaged over a period of time between 136 and 128. So it is within its error margin there.